Good morning. On this bowl of Question Crunch, I have questions for the amazing illustrator Kathleen Abalos. We talk about the mummy, missing canceled comic conventions, and being an illustrator illustrating life in quarantine. Kathleen, I haven't seen you in forever. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
As well as you'd expect in quarantine. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. You're a fellow artist. Do you feel like your life has been that impacted by quarantine? I don't. I'm always indoors working on art.
Yeah. I think it has not changed. I think if anything, my instead of me binging Harry Potter movies, I'm binging CNN.
That's the biggest change of course. Why is he? Oh no, you want to
Yeah,
know about the news?
yeah. So yeah, the news is on, or I like my neighbors are still outside running around, yelling, screaming. So it's fine. It's still the same.
I also see way too many cars in my parked in front of my house, and I'm just like, no, 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 go home.
Yeah,
You should not be hanging out.
yeah, no, gosh, yeah, there's people outside without masks. Like, I don't see anyone with a mask. Maybe, oh, wait, no, actually, one of our older neighbors walks around with a mask, and that's
Well,
it.
you live in Long Beach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
I'm pretty sure I've heard all about your protests and all the people who
oh,
decided
yeah,
to go to the
yeah,
beach, right?
yeah,
Fun.
stupid people.
So you are an amazing artist, bud of mine.
Thank you.
We met at the Ontario convention. I forget what that show was called.
Comic Con Revolution.
Comic Con. No, I don't think it was at Revolution. Revolution is the
Oh,
one in Ontario. I'm talking about the one that was in like the
oh,
Fontana.
oh, Pumps. Oh, shoot.
It
Uh,
has some kind of acronym.
Santa. Oh man, Santa Clarita Comic and Toy Expo.
Oh, I don't think that was it either. It was not
What?
that either.
Oh
No, this
god.
one this one was in Fontana. It was in some kind of like a gym kind of room. It was a school, and we just met randomly because there's an artist alley, and it was first year, and I think it was the only year that the show happened.
Oh,
And we became friends online, and
mhm.
then we're like, hey, let's get lunch. And you are amazingly awesome all the time.
Thank
I
you.
can't stress that enough.
You are too.
Aw. Um, what got you into art?
Oh man. I don't know. Like I guess watching cartoons as a kid, watching movies with my dad. Oh, actually, my dad got me into art because I don't know who started this, but he started to draw The Little Mermaid, and then I wanted to draw The Little Mermaid, and my Little Mermaid sucked because I was 5, and his was actually really good technically, and he's not an artist at all. So I think he just has this like natural ability, and he drew her, and I thought mine was really bad, so I cried. I threw mine away, and my dad was like, no, this is the best drawing, and I'm like, no, it's bad, look at her eyes.
What was
And
wrong with her eyes?
it was a 5-year-old like one was bigger than the other. Like, Invader Zim. You
Yeah.
know how Gur's eyes are not the same size. Yeah, it's something like that. It's like a character out of Invader Zim.
Okay.
Yeah,
I I
a
I
Little
I'm
Mermaid.
I'm really digging Gur Ariel. I think that would be
Yeah, yeah.
I would watch that.
I've I've tried to recreate that drawing for my because I used to teach and get like frustrated kids all the time, and so I'd tell them, "Hey, this is my drawing when I was your age," and I'd try to draw it as bad as I could, but it still doesn't really look that bad. But they would look at it and they're like, "That's terrible," and I'm like, "Right, right. See, this is terrible. This was me at 5, but you're drawing this, and you're probably going to be way way better than me when you get to my age. But yeah.
I always feel like I use Charlie Brown from Peanuts as my example of like, don't worry about your style of art. Look at this. His hair, his hair is just a curlicue in the middle of his head. Don't worry about
That's,
it.
that's true. I should use Charlie Brown. That's like a terrible. No, I mean,
It's
it's
not
a
a
great
terrible job.
joke.
Yeah. I always feel bad about saying that because a lot of people I love the Peanuts. I love the
Oh, I
Peanuts.
do too. It's amazing. But if you're teaching kids that are frustrated with their drawing ability, yeah, Peanuts
I
is a good way to go.
Peanuts is my go-to. I'm like, look at these hands. They go to the side, and you don't even know how many fingers are on that hand. It's just a bunch of squiggles. And the feet, the Peanuts practically look like South Park characters.
They do. They do. Oh my gosh. No.
Yes, I was hoping that we would have a cat scene.
Yeah, I made sure she was out of the room and then she opened the door.
Cats don't obey the law. I'm sorry.
I I made sure that the door was closed and she slid it open. So yeah, I don't know. Danny's crazy.
I told one of my roommates that well, I forget the context, but we were talking about cats. I'm like saying that, oh yeah, cats are incredibly powerful and they're way more superior than us. And she's like, why? I'm like, because they're the rulers of the underworld. And she's like, that's not true. I was like, it's in the mummy, and the mummy does not lie to me. Like, the mummy is historical
True.
and mythical fact.
It's so true. Wait. So I know we've had this question. I've asked you this question. Do you is your favorite mummy movie one or two? Because
That is a very tough question. That's a very tough question because I love one. One has, I think, it's way better written than two. Some of a lot of the one-liners, I still use a lot of the one-liners that are in that film. That whole bit on the river where it's, looks like I'm on no, looks like I have all the horses, Benny. Like that whole line is just really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
However, the cheese in the second one is way too entertaining.
That's true. That's true. I
That's
love that backstory. Uh,
of
that's
the
so
Scorpion
amazing.
King.
Yeah, the Scorpion King and how Evie was like a princess and she was a badass. Like that was like cool. I like this. I like this. This is great. Let's
You
keep.
know that you know that scene where Rick kills the Scorpion King and the mummy runs into this view.
Yes. The best. No.
That is by far, and this is okay. This is not me being serious. This is me kind of making fun of it, but also me showing my appreciation. That is by far my favorite shot of any movie ever because
No.
there's no reason for Imhotep to run into that scene except for that scene where he falls into the crack. That's the
Yeah.
only reason for that scene. But
Yeah.
Imhotep just books it just to do this, and he
Yeah.
kneels down. Like
Yeah.
I, he's just like no, and it's so bizarre.
It
I
is.
every time I watch it, I'm just like what was your plan, Imhotep? There's no like.
There was no fun. It's just his
And the whole scene with the guys where they're like, this is cursed, that is cursed. The second one is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time picking between the two.
Mhm.
I feel like they remind me of trying to pick between Back to the Future 1 or 2. Because
Oh, that's
I
funny.
really love 1, but I also really love 2. Unlike Back to the Future, the third Mummy, I will not watch again.
Mummy 3 is like, oh, no, no. I love Jet Li, but
Yeah.
no. Like I can't. It was on cable at some point and I can't and it I think there's something wrong with my cable system or whatever because every time they show the mummy, they don't tell which mummy it is. So it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3. Or it could be the new one with what's his face. But yeah, like 8 times out of 10 it was the new one. And then the other 2 times it was the third one. And I'm just like, God, this sucks. I hate you. I'm gonna wait till you're on Netflix.
So I honestly had no plan on to get into the Mummy. I realized I knew it was inevitable because I know how much you love that movie.
Too. I
But
don't want to do more. I've been trying to make fan art of it, but I've always oh, it's like on my never-ending list of stuff to draw. Like that like more Harry Potter, as if the world doesn't have enough Harry Potter. Like I want to draw more.
but you have a lot of Harry Potter.
I know.
I want to see some Mummy.
Okay, fine. Fine.
Okay.
Fine,
Not
Jimmy.
It's just that your level of passion for the Mummy, I'm surprised there isn't more Mummy art. Any Mummy art from you.
Uh yeah, it's kind of weird. That's fair because some people called me out. Like I did Hamilton fan art because I got obsessed with the soundtrack, and then I was drawing a bunch of it. And then someone's like, "Oh, that's obviously your favorite musical?" And I'm like, "No, I love Phantom of the Opera." And he's like, "Then why don't I see more Phantom?" And so I was like, "Okay, let me. You called me out on that. Let me get started." And then I drew some, and yeah, it's like I don't know. I have ADD when it comes to art. It's
I think that most artists feel that way about like they start a thing and then they're like, oh, I want to draw this other thing, and then that thing, the previous thing, goes far behind, but it's still in your mind. You know that thing is waiting for you.
it is. It is like it's mermaid right now, so everyone's drawing mermaids, which I
uh,
did do a mermaid. So yeah, but
and your mermaid was amazing. I love the circle that it made with the tail and then the jellyfish in it. It was gorgeous.
thank you so much.
Um,
Glad you
what
like.
has what has been your career path with art?
Oh man, it was kind of weird. So
Weird is good. That doesn't need to be linear.
yeah, and I honestly don't think anyone's career path is linear. I think everyone lives their life. They
Yeah,
want their life to be linear, but it isn't ever.
correct,
But
correct.
yeah, I went into art in college, and then after that I spent 5 years owning a donut shop, and then I got out of that, went and did gallery shows and did like fine art for a little bit, and then I started picking up some illustration freelance work, and then just started building my like more illustrative like style from that point. But yeah, I think in it's weird because like I was really into anime growing up, and now that it's like in the forefront and it's like everyone watches anime, like my style still, like I've heard people say that my style kind of looks like anime, kind of looks like Disney, which is funny because I didn't think it looked like anime at all, but then I guess it kind of does if you I don't know, but yeah,
I
it's
think
weird.
I think I see the Disney influence more.
Yeah, I see it more, but I don't know. I've gotten people that say it looked kind of anime-ish, which I'm like, I guess maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I did gallery shows, started doing freelancing, like did a children's book, did a game, did a lot of like commission pieces, like greeting cards, just like pieces for people, like portraits and stuff like that. And then I got into conventions and still freelancing, and then doing a day job also. So all these things. Although right now it's quarantine, so technically I'm not doing a day job and just selling my art and doing art full time, which is great.
Yeah, no day job, no conventions.
Yeah, I know. It's it's so weird. I like the beginning of this quarantine, I was like, oh. WonderCon's coming up. Like I just got off of like C2E2, which was amazing, and I sold a lot of work, and I picked up possible like freelance jobs out of it, which is great. And then the quarantine happened, and it was like, okay, well, I mean, they're saying maybe June, and then, but in the back of my mind, I was like, no, it might be longer. It might not be June. And then, yeah, WonderCon came. I think I forgot that it was WonderCon until someone said that it was like Friday night, and one of my friends posted about how, like, if this was regular times, they would be at the Hilton grabbing a drink with all the other comic people, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm so sad. You're right. What am I doing at home by myself? Yeah, and then that weekend was just sad because you just have people, well, you'd have people like selling, and WonderCon did a good job of promoting artists, but then you'd have people feeling bummed that they weren't meeting with their fellow con people and, like, just fans. And I think that was the first time it hit me where, oh man, like I don't have the cons, and it's bad for me financially because I do pretty well at cons, but like not being able to talk to you or like some of my other
Aw.
convention buddies or like hanging out with them, it's sad. It's like, man, this really sucks. Like, yeah, I could binge watch The Mummy now, but you know, like to talk to people.
Do you often start WonderCon by going to the bar?
That's a good idea. I should start doing
No,
that.
no, no. Usually in the previous years or year, I don't know. But I've said, hey, let's go to the bar, and you're like, I'm tired. I have to open up my booth in the morning.
I
No.
legitimately am. Yeah, I think. Oh, what
Oh,
can it was
I didn't think it was a lie. I've done the exhibitor, and yeah, you are tired when you're like, I have to wake up way before everyone else. I can't go out and have fun.
I think like wait, I forget which convention it was. I mean, it was probably San Diego, or San Diego's its own like little thing, but one of the conventions, that's what we did. And it was probably Vegas. Yeah, I think it was Vegas.
That we
We
went
went,
out to drink.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We that
And
was
then the
that was
next
Vegas.
the next
Thursday
day I
night
was
we went
like,
to.
oh.
Yeah, because we went to the Irish restaurant in
Yeah, so much fun.
New
Oh
York, New
my
York. I love
god,
that restaurant.
that
Like,
yes, that was like my dreams coming true.
I'm glad I was able to. Was that your first time ever at that restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been going to Vegas since I was 5. Like it's
Yeah.
not even like I don't know. My parents aren't gamblers, but my grandparents were. So we'd always go. And then when New York opened, I saw that bar, and they were playing music, and I was like, wow, this is so fun. And I like the music inside. And my aunt, um, she and my uncle went to Ireland I, fairly recently that year, so they were talking about, oh, this is a great restaurant, like the food's really good. We went here, and I was like, man, mom, dad, can't we go here? Your sister's cool. It's fine. I don't like, it's a bar, but like kids are going in there. I could just order food, and I think I was like 18 at the time or something. And then when I was old enough to drink, I was like, yeah, let's go to this bar. And we just never did. Like I never went there with my friends, with family. Like it was just like I'd go to other places, I'd go to clubs, but never to this place. And so yeah, when we went there, I was like, yeah. And it
I'm,
was legitimately cool. Like the decor was amazing.
I love that restaurant.
Yeah, it was so awesome. Like I don't even know.
Well, I'm glad I was able to take care of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, I always love going to like that first night of going to a bar at WonderCon, or any of the nights going to the bar at the WonderCon. My two favorite moments of going to that bar in the hotels. It's the Hilton, right? That's the popular
Yeah.
one that everyone goes to.
Yeah.
My two favorite stories is one when I went drinking with my friends who are voice actors,
Ooh.
and they also had buds who were voice actors, and I love that kind of group because um, if you get them started on some kind of voice, like I at some point the conversation got to the seagulls from Nemo, and sure enough, all the
Oh
voice actors had
my
to
God.
do their own version of the mine, and it
Oh
was
my God.
it was so entertaining because there was no ego. They weren't trying to prove that they're the better seagull. They were just
Yeah.
all goofing off and having a good time.
Did everyone else join in on that, or was
No,
it
because
just?
that would have been annoying. If the whole bar did the seagull, I would have lost my mind. I'd be like, "Good night, everybody. Like, I'm
I'm
out."
out. Oh man.
Um, the
No,
second one,
WonderCon's
what was
great.
that?
WonderCon's great. Like it's like that's what I love about these conventions. It just brings everyone together, and then people go. People do stuff like mimic the seagulls from Finding Nemo. You know?
The second one was me and two other people were in line, and the woman, person who was closest to the bar was this woman that I didn't know who she was. It was just three of us in line, and she turns to me and the guy, and she's like, "What drinks are you gonna get?" And I was like, I didn't want her to like buy it for me. That's weird. And I was like, I said about my drink. She's like, all right, you too, and said it to the guy, and she bought our drinks, and I was like, wow, thank you so much. Um, if you come in my booth, I will draw something for you. I really appreciate it. And she's like, no, no worries. And she explained that she's Kevin Eastman's wife, and I was just like,
Oh my
oh.
God. Oh, okay.
You're so much higher on the totem pole of conventions than I will probably ever be.
You're like, whoa, what just happened here?
I love
That's cool.
if you don't know who Kevin Eastman is, he's the creator of Ninja Turtles, and so I bragged about it that I that drink was bought with turtle money.
That's awesome. My sister got to meet him. She went to I forget what party it was. It was at San Diego. But she was like, "Oh, Kevin Eastman's here." And I was like, "Wait, what? What the hell am I doing here?" And I was in where was I? I was in the Marriott, one of the Marriott hotels, playing the piano with one of my friends because the ballroom was empty. They had some
Yeah.
pianos, and so I was like, "I'm gonna play because I can." And
What
then
were you
my
playing?
sister, I don't know, probably Phantom
Damn
of the
it.
Opera. Probably Phantom of the Opera. That's like one of my go-to songs. And so I think I was playing music of the night. Um, and then yeah, my sister texts me and she's like, Kevin Eastman's here. I'm like, son of a bitch. It's not fair. And
When was
so
the
I
last time you
sent
when
like
was the
a
last
sad face and sad gifts.
when was the last time you saw the Phantom of the Opera?
Oh man, I don't know.
So
Uh,
nothing recent.
not not the most recent one, but the one before.
Okay, cool. I was just
It,
asking because I don't know if you listen to the podcast that often, but we
I remember you got I remember you posting about it, but
okay,
I didn't
cool.
see
Okay. Because I was gonna do some bragging if you said, oh yeah, I saw the recent Phantom. I'm like, well,
that.
we actually interviewed my buddy was the Phantom.
Cool. Like, oh man, that's legit. That's truly.
Now you said you did fine arts before you got into illustrating.
Yeah.
What do you mean by fine art? What did you do?
Like I that's so weird. So
Is that weird?
I when I got back into art, I think one of my friends texted or emailed me, and he was from college, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this fine arts like not competition, but like it was a showcase, uh, like focusing on Asian Pacific Islander artists. And so he wanted me to be a part of this showcase. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm down. And he's like, you need 7 to 10 pieces and just, take pictures, send them to me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Got it. And he's like, it's due in a week. And I'm like, that's fine. I had not touched a paintbrush in like 5 years.
And you're going to do 7 to 10 pieces in a week.
Yeah, so I did seven. I think I did 7 oil paintings, like weirdly conceptual, abstract, ugly paintings. But at the time, it was like, it was whatever I felt like doing at the time, and I was like, you know what, there, I'm done. And I sent it to him, and it was like I was super proud of myself because I got this done in a week, and he's like, oh, thanks, this is awesome. Like, thank you so much. And then a week later, he emailed me saying that like something happened with the showcase and they weren't able to like just have the artist showcase and they canceled it. And I was like, man, that's terrible. I just spent a week killing myself to make 7 to 10 paintings. But after that, I think I got like he got in contact with me again and asked me if I wanted to sell art at or his friend was looking for artists for this kind of like a pop-up artist shop at a bar. I agreed to it, and at that point I was like hanging out with I think some artists from like that are local to Long Beach, and they were mostly doing like pen and ink stuff, some like I guess representational art, nothing like super not like the geeky nerdy like comic bookish stuff that I'm doing now or like Disney. It's more like stuff you'd see in a gallery or whatever. But they were doing
I'd see Disney in a gallery.
Yeah, I would too. It's really weird. Like I hate using those terms, but I've yeah, that year I went to a bunch of like art shows, and they're just, you have the people that are like, oh yeah, this is like conceptual, blah blah blah, like abstract art, and it's beautiful, and I appreciate it. And then they'll talk about how terrible like illustration is, how very like um what is it called, commercial it is, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then on the flip side, like, I'll go to like illustration shows, like I'll go to Gallery Nucleus and we'll ooh and ah over like all the Mulan pieces, and I'll be like, yeah, I don't understand these like abstract crap, and I'm like, yeah, that's, I don't know. It's weird because I've hung out with both groups and they're equally fine to me. Like if I get tired of drawing cartoons, I'll jump into some abstract painting, or if I'm tired of that, I'll go into like comic books or landscapes. I don't know.
Your landscapes are pretty amazing though.
Thank you. Try, I really do. I don't think they are. Like I'll
You're
look
wrong.
at it and then I'll be like, ugh, that one line. I hate you. Why?
Don't worry, no one cares about that one line.
I do.
That's cool.
My
That's
cat
cool.
does.
Oh, well, never mind. I'm sorry. If your cat does care about it, then yeah, you should scrap that drawing.
I'll tell you, like, I was preparing for C2E2, and I had to pack all my prints in bags, and I had a nice pile of prints on my desk, and my cat comes over and she's like, ugh. I'm like, that's what you think of my art?
I don't mean to say this, but you're kind of asking for it because
Yeah.
you put it on a high point where a cat can knock it off.
Yeah, I do.
Don't put things on a shelf if you don't want them to knock off. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I know. Oh man, I'm amazed that things haven't broken yet. I knock on wood. Yeah, I don't want to give anyone any ideas. don't break my stuff, please. Especially like technology, like my computer. Danny, don't. She's like she's to my left, or right.
But your landscapes are amazing. I love them. I bought your Sleepy Hollow one.
Thank you.
Um, and
I'm
so
glad you like that one. I'm glad you know what Sleepy Hollow is.
I think you told me that someone said, "Oh, did you create this character?" And I got really depressed when you told me that.
Yeah, I think I was depressed after someone told me that I should have just ran with it because I was like, man, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I should have. Why didn't I?
I think I was the one that told you to run with it because I'm all
Yeah.
for
Ugh,
lying to people. If people don't know a thing, I'm gonna make up stuff.
I should have. I should have listened to you. Like, oh man.
One
Next
time,
time.
one time, someone I encountered did not know what a boomerang was, so
Huh.
I made up a whole story that was a grenade that you throw up in the air and it shoots off behind you and in front of you, so it takes off both ways. That way, in the situation where you're cornered, it will take care of the person in front of you, but it doesn't help out with if people are on the sides of you. And she's like, "Is that real?" I was like, "No, not at all."
Wow. Did she ask that at the end, or like midway was she like, wait, is he for real?
I don't know. But I think I even tried as far as I could to go with it. And if you tell someone the reason why it didn't work out is because there are still people coming off to the sides. Not everyone is going to go front and back. People assume that flaw means it's real.
That's true.
But if someone doesn't know what a boomerang is, of course I'm going to make up stuff. That's dumb. I think it's dumb. Which
I
it might not. I don't.
we should
Maybe
all
it's not.
bring it.
Maybe more people don't know what a boomerang is, and I'm just. I do you watch the show Flash?
No, my sister does.
In one of the
What?
episodes,
I don't know.
uh, the characters did not know the name of they did not. The question was Han Solo's ship, and they did not know Millennium Falcon. And then I
Mhm.
was like, that's not true. Everyone knows the ship. And so I went to my work at warehouse, and I was like, hey, what's the name of Han Solo's ship? And they're like, I should know this. And I was like, fuck. All right.
You know, that's a great question to ask. I think I'll do that. I think I'll
About
just random
Han Solo's
people.
ship?
Yeah, like what's Han Solo's ship?
You're
And
gonna
hope.
get depressed.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I really want to know how many people don't know. And then oh man, yeah, you'll get actually if it's me, they'll probably be like, "Do you know what Han is? Let me tell you, it is the Millennium Falcon, and this is what it's." Oh gosh, never mind. I'm not gonna ask that
So
question.
no. Now, this wasn't on my list of questions, but that does bring up a good point that for female geeks, they will always be tested of their nerdum. Do you have like a good example besides the fictional Millennium Falcon where someone said, "Oh, do you know this?"
I do. I do.
I'm looking forward to this.
Oh man. I don't know. Okay. I might as
Go
well
for it.
tell it. Yeah.
You
It's fine.
don't you can make up names. You don't have to call anyone out.
So,
Unless it's me, in which case you can lie.
well, one time Jimmy said this to me. There's been a few times. I actually don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of stories because one of my convention friends, like she does a lot of amazing Star Wars art and she gets that like 100-fold. It's insane. But there was this one time that someone talked to me about uh it was recent because I was asking if this person watched The Mandalorian and they were like, yeah, and I was super excited because I just finished it. I'm like, yes, it's amazing. I love it because Boba Fett is my favorite Star Wars character ever. Like and and then I was like, yeah, like this is the closest thing I'll ever have to like a Boba Fett like show or movie. And then they were like, actually, he's not a Mandalorian. And then I'm like, well, yeah, I know he's a Mandalorian. And then he's like, and this is why. And then he lists why, and I'm like, yeah, I know this, and okay, I'm just gonna let you talk and be done. And yeah, and that was and that's what happened. And I was very upset because it happened not at a convention. It happened when it was like, real life. I wasn't expecting this at all. So my guard was down, and yeah, it was pretty upsetting.
Wow.
I would tell you more about it, but yeah.
I want to know more. Why are
Yeah,
you stopping him telling more?
because I mean, okay, like I think
We're on a podcast where I want to know about this stuff, especially
that's true.
as a feminist. I want more people aware that this is some bullshit that women have to endure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it was just the fact that this person explained, my favorite character, and I'm like, oh, like, why are you doing this?
Did they explain it wrong?
They just, they wouldn't let me talk, and it was like, okay, yeah, yeah, I know all that already. Like, I'm like, I wanted to buy his like life-size statue at the age of 10. Like, I know this crap. Like, I know what his ship is and his blaster. Like, I know this crap. Like, why are you telling me this? And yeah,
And
but
you know the actual title of his blaster?
oh God, I don't anymore. I knew what model number it was, and then
I
his ship
my
was
friend.
a I don't. It was Kuwait or Kuwait. It was something systems. Yeah, it was that type of ship. I forget, but
You can make it up because I definitely don't know a lot
well,
about
it
Boba
was
Fett.
from the planet of blah 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 blah.
My friend Jen,
Yep. No, just kidding.
my friend Jen, who was on the Pennywise, the clown charity episode, before she was able to, she knew what TIE Fighter stood for, or that it was TIE is an
Oh,
acronym, and I sure as hell don't.
that's like the. Oh man, I didn't know that either.
Okay, good. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, I know the ATSTs and everything, but like, yeah, I didn't know TIE Fighter was a. What does it stand for?
I sure as hell don't know, remember. I can look
Okay.
it up, but I don't want to because I don't care. I'm I'm sorry. I've got a lot of friends who are big Star Wars nerds. I've got a friend who was a Mandalorian merc who started the Mandalorian mercs. I've got friends who are in the 501st, and they're probably all going to be listening to this and like, what is your problem, Jimmy? You don't know what TIE Fighter stands for? I'm like, no, I don't. And
That's
now I
like
don't want.
that's like all the people, like, I love Star Wars, but I just, you know, I can't with everyone that are like, "Oh, we should never have this Star Wars, like, this movie because it's terrible," or "We shouldn't have like this trilogy because it's crap." And I'm like, "Oh, but then we'd have none." Like, what are you talking about? Like,
I mean, the crappiest Star Wars movie gave you your favorite character, so.
I I love, like, I don't know. It's and I've done so many cons and met so many Star Wars fans of like all ages that it's kind of ridiculous to like hate on a specific trilogy because you didn't grow up with it. It's like, okay, stop like messing with the prequels just because you weren't, 5 when you first watched it. I met those people that were 5 when they watched it, and they love that's their favorite trilogy, and I thought that was like adorable. Like, one girl was like, "I love Jar Jar Binks," and I'm like, and my face was like, "Why?" But she's like, "I don't understand why everyone hates him," and I'm like, "You'll find out when you're older." And then like when I said that, and then I'm like, "Oh shit, she was 5 when she first watched him. She fucking grew up with this guy. Like, he's basically a Barney to her." Okay, I get it. Like,
I mean, but you you
and
you
that's
you probably have that kind of like that kind of situation where you like something that you grew up and realize it sucks, but that doesn't change the fact that you love that thing.
yeah, yeah.
The movie Super Mario Brothers
Oh
is an
God.
awful movie. but I love the hell out of it.
It is. I haven't seen it in a while. Oh,
Really,
and
Angie?
Island Vacation. That's that's what it stands for. Thank you.
I, Thank you very much, Angie. Angie looked up what TIE stands for TIE fight,
Thank
what the TIE
you.
fighters and TIE. Oh my God. Um, but with Star Wars drawings, when my feed was filled with Star Wars posts for May 4th because everyone's in quarantine, so they felt like doing all the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Your piece is my favorite Star Wars drawing that went up at the time.
Oh man, that means a lot to me because that's one of my favorite scenes in
And
Star Wars.
what was it? Just so people can,
It's
because they
the
can't see it.
oh, well, let me. No, I'm just kidding. It's the funeral pyre scene. So it's at the end of Return of the Jedi. Luke burns the body of his father, and he's in the forest. And it's such a
And it's
beautiful
the sky.
scene.
You're looking up at
Yeah,
the sky and seeing the fireworks.
yeah.
And
It's oh, I love it. Like that song at the very like at the end when he does that, and then and the camera pans up to the stars. Like I remember, like my family and I used to camp often, and I remember one like I recorded that song and I play it on my Walkman or CD player, whatever it's called, and I'd play that while like looking up at the stars at night, like while we were camping, and that was like the best for me. So yeah, I wanted to draw that because it's one of my favorite scenes, and I'm glad you like it. Like I was having a hard time drawing it, but I'm yeah, it was weird. Like I've drawn something like something kind of similar to that scene before, but I think with this one, like I at one point I drew the trees and then I watched the scene and I'm like, drawing this trees wrong. What the fuck? And so I like erased it and redrew them again. And I'm like, why are the fireworks not working? Like, oh,
did your cat also knock it over? Like wrong trees.
like do it again, human.
Well,
Very good.
it brings me back to my love of your landscape work. And what I love about the landscape work is that a lot of times when people do landscapes, you can totally tell where the focus is because that one thing is going to be the foreground or the lines are going to it. What I love about your landscapes is that it is like a panoramic. Like everything in that image is important, from the angle, from the colors, from just everything about it is. It's not it doesn't feel like you're directing my eye to a thing. The whole thing is just for me to just roam around and enjoy.
Oh, I'm glad.
Where
I
the
love
he-
doing that.
where the hell do you start with a landscape like that?
That's a really good question. I don't know.
How? You are there. You're there when you do it.
The other Kathleen can answer this question. Kathleen, no. With the funeral pyre scene, I obviously wanted to start with Luke and the body of his father, and then just yeah, it's weird because I drew the trees and I drew the sky and the stars and the fireworks and the X-wings, and it was like I think at some point, like after I put all the elements in, it's just a matter of like where do I want the focus to be and where do I want the lighting to go, and I'm always trying to make the night seem brighter than it really is because I love I love night scenes. Like I mean you see that everywhere in my art, but
I bought the Sleepy Hollow one because I love your night scenes.
thank you. I think I just like I like how the how lighting works at night and how stars can light up the sky, or how like I mean when you have the moon shining on the beach, like you'd see the sparkles of it, and I just try to capture all of that, and and then the way the moon hits like the trees, like I try to capture that too, and it's I don't know, like I know that when I start my process, like I just try to put all the elements in. I try to have like a focal point, or if I'm just doing a random landscape, like I try to figure out what the mood is, what this like what time of day it is, and if there's no people, if there aren't any buildings or whatever, I just, yeah, I focus on what what I want the feeling to be like. If it's like morning and it's cold and it's winter, like I try to put that type of lighting and color into the piece. Or if it's like, if it was a hot day and you're at the beach and the sun went down, like I try to put that in. Yeah.
And your use of color theory is just spot on.
Yeah.
Because
I hope.
one thing I love about your one thing about I love about your Instagram right now is the what it's some art challenge. It was a women in animation.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm part of Women in Animation, and like they had an art. So I follow them on Instagram, and they had a challenge where they had I think it was 31 days or 30 days of quarantine, and each day was a different prompt. Like one was new routines, and then one was Zoom meetings, and then I just tried to draw something based on my experiences, and so each picture was basically me because I mean, I don't have anyone else to draw right now.
But what I love about them is that I've been seeing a lot of quarantine art, and I feel like the artist, depending on the person's mood, their mood can come out in the artwork that's being done. Um, what I love about your artwork, the quarantine artwork though, is that it feels like there's a level of warmth in the colors that you choose, and it doesn't. There's like a comforting feeling of you're not alone with your artwork, and that's
Yeah.
why I completely appreciate that. Like I'm
Oh,
like
thank
yes.
you. Thank you. It's it's funny because a lot of my artwork is kind of, I mean, I it's based on my experiences, trips I've been on, and like stuff that's happened with my friends or family members. So it's kind of all things I've come across at some point. And like, and yeah, and each piece kind of has a feeling or a moment, and I try to capture that in the piece. And it's funny because like with these quarantine pieces, like yeah, it's weird. Like it is kind of lonely because it's like one person. I think there's one coming up that it's two people.
And a cat.
Yeah, yeah, and but it's like I don't know. I try to put like I like there are moments when I'm sad and stuff like that, and it'll come across in my art. But I guess I start to do that, but then I end up switching. Like sometimes I'll do a sad piece, but then it'll flip. Like, and I think it's because I'm getting whatever I'm feeling out, and when I'm drawing, it ultimately like calms me down and makes me happy, and so that comes across, hopefully.
But I feel
Hopefully.
like I feel like that's kind of very therapeutic for the people that are looking at it because I can see that it's still a sad image,
Mm,
but you are able to the colors you choose, the lighting that you choose, it feels like we can be sad together.
yeah, that's good.
That's
I
it doesn't feel like I'm looking at it and I'm not looking at it and I'm like, "Oh, now I'm depressed." It's more like, "Yeah, I know how you feel." Like
well, I'm glad that it portrays that because yeah, it's been a weird quarantine. Like, I mean, on the I'll have Zoom meetings with friends and family, and it's great. But then at the same time, it's like I miss like hugging people, interacting with people face to face. It's so weird, like doing it through a computer. But I mean, it's just the new normal, I guess.
oh,
I could
when
do a
I'm
robot dance.
when I'm allowed to hug again, I'm gonna go on a hugathon. I'm just gonna all weekend long just travel to any friends I can and just hug everyone. I'm like, all right, cool, hug. All right, I got 50 more people, 50 more hugs to give. I gotta go. my
Okay,
my friends
that's the one.
my friends earlier today, they did stop in front of my house and we chatted with good distance between each other. And they're like, all right, well, you are one of the first people we're going to hug. And you're one of the first people that we're going to come to and hug when we can. And I was like, not if I hug you first. Like,
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah,
um,
I think that's what a lot of people wanted. Like my friend Maddie, like she's like, I want to hug everyone, and I'm like, I know, like, ugh.
well, we didn't know how important hugs were until we can't.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because at first it was like this, thing of like, all right, cool. I love this person. This is cool. This is a goodbye. All right. But now you're just like, I haven't had a hug. I'm going through hug withdrawals.
Oh, I need a hug right now.
Spe-
On the flip side, I have a cat, so I mean, in a way, she's sits on my lap, and that's a cuddle. So I'm like, okay, cool. I guess that's a hug.
it's a hug. It's a hug. It's a hug from someone it's a hug for someone who is a ruler of the underground. I think that's the best kind of hug.
That is the best kind of hug. Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of soul crushing, um, what would be a soul crushing scene in a movie that you would not want to draw?
Oh
That
man.
if someone's like, "Here's my money," and you're like,
Oh,
"Nah, it's cool,
oh,
it's cool."
so crushing. You know, man, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, there's so many scenes.
Do you want to know my soul crushing thing I did?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
'Cause
very depressing because like I did a Disney art challenge and they said what draw something that made you cry. Problem is that
oh
I
shoot.
I
What did,
don't what was that?
what did you draw?
Okay, so the problem is that I don't cry easy. I usually because I love art. I just don't really show too much emotion when I'm watching a thing. I'm appreciating the art. I can be sad, but I'm not going to actually cry. But there is one time that I actually cried just bad, and so I drew that. And because it was so severely sad, everyone hated me for drawing it.
Oh gosh. I actually
Did you
did.
ever watch The Candlestick Girl?
Oh man. Wait, is it candlestick or matchstick?
Matchstick,
Okay.
Matchstick Girl.
Yes.
Uh,
You
I
drew
drew I drew her dead with
Oh
the burned up matches on the ground.
my gosh. I mean, Jimmy.
They said something that made you cry, and that's the first time that I was wiping away tears, and I'm like, what is this?
What are you talking about? Oh, there is a scene that I don't wanna. Okay, I mean, there's something I did draw that now that I think about it, like I was like crying during that scene. It was the scene in Coco when yeah, when he
I was actually thinking about that scene. I will never want to draw it. I don't want to draw it. I don't want to draw
I
it.
drew it, and I kid you not, when people see that print, they're like, "Oh, Coco," and I'm not making fun of them at all
Yeah.
because we'll start talking about, and I'm like, I know, and then and I'll talk about my grandma, and I'm like, oh no, I feel sad, and it's like we're at a con and we're talking about how much Coco is beautiful, and then that song comes on, and then they're looking at the print, and they're like, oh, this is so sad, and I'm like, I know, like I don't know why I drew it.
That moment when she starts singing along, I'm like, oh, there went my soul.
Yeah, but
You're gonna bring on the tears.
there's that one, I think it's a Pixar short of a oh, Kitbull.
Oh no, no.
I I don't know what. Oh man, like I don't, cause there isn't like a one scene I can. Oh no, there is a scene I could probably like draw, but it's just that whole moment where like you find out what type of adult is, his purpose is, and you're just like, they went there. They went there. And I remember watching it with my friend, and I'm like, okay, this is great. And then it's like, oh shit, oh my god, he's a fighting dog. oh no. You're just like, I'm like, don't look at me while I cry.
So Coco's not on the list because you actually did do that drawing.
Yeah. But
Um, Ki-
Kit Bull for sure.
uh,
I can't like with that.
I can watch Coco again because it actually, while it will always make me cry, it's not a bad cry. It doesn't feel bad. It feels very moving and very heartwarming. Kitbull, I'm okay. I don't want to watch that again.
Yeah, I'm glad it has a good ending, but I see commercials about dog fighting, and I'm like,
Nope,
no,
I'm okay.
that's sad. That's not, that makes me angry and
Yeah.
depressed, and I don't have enough space where I live to adopt all those dogs.
You would just be a rescue house if you could.
Can I just, stage a kidnapping, kidnap all the dogs, and then give them to all the people that want them? It's like, hey, you want a dog? Here. I can't take care of him, but like, give him a good home. If you don't, I'll find you.
You're gonna be the Robin Hood of pets.
Yeah, I'd like
um,
that.
so what we mentioned earlier is that you can take sad images and make them make them nicer, make them feel good. What would be an action movie character that you would want to that you would, because you have
Oh,
such an adorable style. I love your characters. What action character would you want to redesign to make adorable?
oh man, I feel like I don't watch enough action movies.
I don't believe that's true.
What? Um,
We're friends on. I
oh
follow
man,
you on Instagram, and you post a lot of movies that you watch.
I would turn all of the Terminators into cute characters.
That's a damn good
like,
answer.
like, I am so afraid of Terminator 2. That guy scares me. Like, I
The
no.
T-1000.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't
cool.
remember. I haven't watched it since that first time, and I've had nightmares about him. And watching Wayne's World, when they're like, when he shows up, it's like, oh shit! Like, I don't want that to happen to me. But yeah, I'd turn him into a cute character, along
So
with like the other ones, like Arnold, him, and then I forget what the girl's name is, and then that newest guy, I forget his name too, but yeah,
that was John Connor.
yeah, yeah, all of them.
What I find really well, I think it was Genesis is the name of the program in that one. It wasn't Skynet anymore. It was Genesis. Um, but it's funny that you say the cameo from Wayne's World because like a few months ago, people were talking about that the scene where Trump was on Home Alone 2 got edited out because it was pointless. It
Oh,
was not a necessary scene.
yeah,
It wasn't because of politics. It was just because there's only so much time. I don't think it was politics. I don't think it was politics. I think it was just so much time, and that scene is irrelevant to the plot.
yeah.
And Don Jr. went online to say it was the best cameo ever, and I actually tweeted a response to him. I was like, incorrect. T-1000 on Wayne's World is the best cameo ever.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. I mean, I saw that Trump scene, and I didn't get it at the time. I was like, okay, some guy. And then later on, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That's all. But yeah, the T-1000's like, oh man, no.
Well, if you get rid of the Trump scene, like only people who knew New York recognized him. Because I think as a Californian, I did not care. I did not know who Trump was until The Apprentice, and
Oh,
even then, it was just some reality TV show that I don't care about.
I knew about him because my dad had he had magazine. I forget what magazine he subscribed to, but there was one in the 80s, and he was like on the front cover. And I had those school projects where we had to cut out stuff from magazines. So I'd go through like my dad's stacks of magazines, and that was one of them. Like, I remember reading that as a kid, and I'm like, oh, he always loses money. That's weird. Okay, let me let me cut out the picture of the airplane. I'm gonna need an airplane in my picture. I
So
forget what magazine it was. Oh man.
so you are an illustrator, and I've just talked about how amazing your artwork on Instagram is. Your landscapes are amazing. I just really love your art. And you're part of the Society of Illustrators in LA?
Yeah. I'm not a member
Was?
anymore. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. No, I was actually on the board for the Society of Illustrators. Like I went on the board in I think 2015, and then yeah, last year 2019 was my last year. But yeah, I got into it because I wanted to get into the illustration community, and then my friend was on the board, and so we were able to do a lot of events together, and it was really good. Like we did a lot of like kind of like drink and draw events, and then just like panels to teach people about like the illustration, like the business of illustration, putting like doing conventions, and we had shows and everything. So it was a good experience. But yeah, I'm it, like I ended up not renewing my membership because and getting off the board because I was too busy with work. So yeah.
But you are doing commissions now?
Yeah, I am.
Are you open for commissions?
Yes, I am.
Where
'Cause,
can someone get commissions from you?
through my email, so it's C Abalos, CABALOS 11 at gmail.com. Or if you just go to my website, CathleenAbalos.com, there's like a contact section, and just contact me through there.
Can they
Or
contact you
DM
through
through.
all social media?
Yes. So Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. Yeah.
And
And
they're all the same name, or?
yeah, well, Instagram is Christophet because I haven't changed. Yeah, I don't know. Like I haven't. I should change it, but it's been there for so long, and I feel like if I changed it, people will be like, "Who is this?" Like, who?
Absolutely. That is
So it's
absolutely what
Crystal
we're
Fett.
going to do.
See, Boba Fett's in that name. That's
Yeah,
my favorite guy.
I
Like,
would keep it.
oh.
I did not know how much of a Boba Fett fan you are, but now I'm never gonna. I'm always gonna know that you're a fan of Boba Fett.
I used
It's
to make
Mummy and Boba Fett.
I made like comics about him and all the bounty hunters in like junior high. It was amazing.
So, what words of wisdom or advice would you give to aspiring artists?
Oh man, just keep at it. Like don't don't give like I know this is something everyone says, but don't give up because you'll have like ups and downs. Like even now, like I think like I keep thinking, oh, when am I gonna make it? And then sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm getting somewhere, and then the next day is like, no, just kidding, I'm nowhere. But but I feel like it's always gonna be that. It's not as an artist, you're constantly trying to evolve, you're trying to adapt, and you'll never be happy in one spot. You'll constantly want to do something or the next thing. Like I want to do everything. So you just gotta keep pushing and trying for it. And maybe one day you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, I did all this. That's amazing. Yay, me.